can only think of two guys in regard to the Final Four, Wooden and Dean Smith, that are on the same caliber of this guy who's still so young.
He would win the championship Monday. He would tie Knight, trail only Wooden and Rupp for most championships by a coach, and Maryland coming out with the first possession.
Good steal on the jump, that time by Morris. Straight man-to-man by Duke.
Baxter puts it up, front of the rim.
Not a good shot, pretty good defense.
Sanders, confidence mounting every game.
We'll see how long Sanders stays out there, and before we see Boozer in this lineup. Sanders, as everybody realizes, has become the starting center since Boozer has been injured.
Inside, Duke trying to work it over to Sanders, and last touch by Maryland.
Not a good job by Sanders sealing to establish the passing lane for Badier. He stayed away from it, so a lot of times it's not the passer's fault.
Dunleavy, and inside comes Blake. He has played extremely well against the Devils in the 3 games this year. Outside, set up for the 3, and he got it to go. Terrence Morris.
The good, the bad, and the ugly starts out good, doesn't he? And has the ability to step out and take that shot.
Williams.
Nothing there, good rebound. Morris has now had a tap, a rebound, and a 3.
Juan Dixon broke early, he wanted it. Wasn't there. Duhan swiped away by Sanders, but he gets it back.
Well, one of the things we thought, Jim, about Maryland is the fact that they have played Duke the 3 times and are not in awe of the Blue Devils. Actually, statistically, in the 3 games, they really lead, even though they only had 1 win.
Williams, and over the back, Sanders. Just like Arizona, the first 5 in this game, Maryland. So a good start for the Terrapins.
I really feel that it's an advantage to Maryland to play Duke as opposed to either Michigan State or Arizona because of this familiarity and the confidence they have.
Blake got the roll, got stuck, put it up on the rim, soft touch.
Big mistake by Duke. You never give up on the man who has the ball. He's the most difficult guy to handle, and Duke just gave up on Blake. We are going to see Boozer quickly in this game. They've got to establish an inside presence. There's nothing there for Duke.
Duhan to Dixon.
Push.
Going the other way? No, it's going against
push.
Duke.
Dunleavy didn't have to push. Not a good foul. Mike Krzyzewski trying to work these officials early, but they're not seeing any part of it right there. That was an obvious foul. A lot of weapons right now offensively on the floor for Maryland.
Your point with Duke being the opponent once they got here, people wondered about first-time jitters at a Final Four. The familiarity of the opponent certainly makes it a little bit easier, but here's the steal. Duhan looking for the Devils' first points. Back to Sanders, and he'll have a chance for a 3-point play.
Big break right there. Sanders, not a guy that you want to have handling the ball on a fast break. He does not have the greatest hands on the move, but he makes a play here, probably gets a break from the officials, and the fact that the foul is taken before he releases, and he gets the basket as well as going to the line.
So Dixon commits it. Sanders pauses. Sophomore who came in after Boozer got injured in that game against Maryland, game number 2 that is, and missed 6. They won all 6 without him. He came back, did Boozer at the East Regional, and saw 22 minutes in each of the 2 games. UCLA and USC traveling.
Well, what we have here is a nice little change up by Mike Krzyzewski, using Jason Williams on the high-scoring Dixon, which puts Duhan on Blake. Blake normally has the ball in his hands a lot. Dixon plays well without the ball, so this may save some of Williams' energy on the offensive end. And he's being guarded by Blake.
Dunleavy got Mouton to commit on the run and the tap, but Morris very aggressive here at the start. They're looking for the lob, it's not there. Dixon goes inside, Mouton, 7-footer trying to defend, and he does.
Not a good idea to put that shot up over Sanders, who is a good shot blocker. Possession more important.
Boozer and James will be checking in on the next whistle.
We're really talking about two starters that are now playing on the bench. Boy, Duke getting a lot of calls early in this ball game. Good penetration by Williams. Duke knows how to get on the line as good as any team in college basketball.
Here's the road for Gary Williams' team, playing a lot of, well, local teams, if you will. Out west they had to go to play. George Mason could have gotten them.
Well, what do we got? 10 miles, a few miles, and plus lefty Drizel. So they really had a homecoming in that regard.
You know, you look at that first game, though. It was Williams to shoot a pair after the Mouton foul. James and Boozer checking in. It just, nothing proves more of a fragile nature of this NCAA tournament than the fact George Mason had a great chance to beat Maryland.
Jim,
round one.
How often have we seen, however, national champions who dodge something early in the tournament and eventually get through, and you say a basket here and they'd be out of it.
And last year,
so many times.
All the way to the final for Florida when Miller hit the winning shot at the buzzer to beat Butler.
I think of a James Madison, North Carolina game one year. It happens almost all the time.
What an assist, Blake, before he came down with it. Bounced it into Baxter.
That's that Baxter factor on the inside in the post. He has great hands, big bulk, much like we saw Randolph in the first game. That combination of bulk and soft hands.
Boozer right away. Oh, misses the lay-in.
Good idea now, though, that Duke has got a low presence offensively.
Blake to the corner. Dixon hit on the foul. He'll shoot three.
Hit on the arm by Williams.
The Devils, meanwhile, came out of the East. They have feasted on the East through Krzyzewski's era, 30-1. Only Florida beat them when they were put in the East bracket. That was last year's Sweet 16. Monmouth and Missouri, and then UCLA and USC. All double-digit wins. The only team to ever win the championship with all double-digit wins in the tournament. You made the point earlier. Michigan State a year ago.
A year ago, exactly.
So they've done it through the first four.
Here's a young man right here who has been incredible. He redshirted his first year at Maryland, and since that time has really come on to be one of the really great players in the country that hasn't received national recognition, but he's been first-team all-conference in the ACC the last 2 years.
Before today, Duke's biggest deficit in the tournament was 6 to Missouri. They're down 8 early to the Terps.
Maryland certainly seems to have taken Gary Williams' pregame message to heart. He told him, forget about the fact that you're playing Duke and remember how well you've played the last 3 games. Jim?
Well, Duke so far, Armin, thank you, only 1 field goal in their first 8 trips. 1 of 8 from the field are the Blue Devils.
So far, Steve Blake making Jason Williams give up that basketball. He hadn't penetrated by him yet.
Boozer, try this move, second time, and he gets it.
This team's complexion offensively changes completely now that Boozer's back in the ball game. Gives him a low post presence. So defensively, you've got to collapse a little bit to help out. That'll open up the three-point shot.
Maryland working it, and it's Baxter. It only took him, by the way, 4 minutes for all 5 starters to score, and Baxter's on the board again.
And Baxter again, he'll force Boozer then to have to play some defensively, and there goes Williams at what he does so well.
Baxter, they're going to call that a goaltend. It looked like it was on the way up.
Oh, definitely, I thought that ball was on the way up. Great timing by Baxter. So quick off his feet for a big man. Now watch this.
How is that on the way down?
That was a very good block. Gary Williams agrees with us, but he doesn't get the call.
Jason Williams gets the call instead. Baxter on the blocks again. Flings it. There's Morris, rejected by Badier.
Morris trying to post up, seals Badier fairly nicely.
Oh, too strong, tipped around Baxter. Maryland getting second and third chances here. Traveling.
Jim, this might surprise you, but Maryland out-rebounded coming into this game. Duke by 31 rebounds in the 3 games they've played.
Get an interactive Final Four experience with fan polls, in-game features, audio clips, video highlights, more. The internet's home of college basketball, cbs.sportsline.com, AOL keyword CBS Sportsline.
Now, if you're Duke, you might want Duhan to bring the ball up, except for one thing. He's being guarded by Dixon, who was the #1 guy in steals in the ACC on the year. And Duke not getting good looks from 3. Morris does a good job being able to stand out there with Badier.
Here comes an overrule. It's Maryland ball. First signal had gone Duke. That was Badier's first attempt. Now you make the call.
Well, there's no question what the call
about that.
is.
At first, though, it was going the other way.
Duhan out.
James, second time inserted into the lineup.
James will be on Dixon now. James, a very good defensive basketball player. Matches up well with Dixon, even though Dixon has a little bit of quickness on him. But that puts Williams on Blake.
Blake, what an assist to Dixon.
And so far, Blake is not only negating Jason Williams' penetration, he's getting some of his own, keeping Williams occupied.
Block called on Baxter.
This Duke team, as we always know, a great team getting to the foul line. They've actually made 3 more foul shots than their opponents have taken all year, and they've actually gone to the line 290 times more than their opponents.
Martisic, a senior who's played in more games at Maryland, been a part of more victories than any Terrapin in history, checks in with Holden, Taj Holden, who can really shoot it. Put on quite a show here yesterday during the practice. Talking from midcourt. Dunleavy, too strong. Sanders, offensive glass, and he has given him a couple of big plays already.
That was a great job by Sanders. If he had tried to do anything else other than dunk the ball, he's got no chance.
Danny Miller also seeing his first play for Maryland.
Very valuable sub here. A good ball handler, an experienced starter most of his career.
Started all of last year, did Miller. There's Dixon. Holden tucks it in.
There is that touch, Jim. Holden actually misjudged his leap that time, but that great touch of his put it in. Duke has not made a 3 yet. That is where they are so expert.
Badier traveled.
Give Holden credit for a little defensive play. Watch right here as Taj Holden actually mistimes things, but there is that beautiful touch he has right off the fingertips, just as you see on a beautiful fadeaway jump shot. Had the great touch.
He could shoot a straight-up jump shot without a one-step start to it all from midcourt. Incredible form. And the Terrapins have brought in Drew Nicholas, number 12 for the first time. This is a deep team.
Particularly in the front court.
Blake, what a pass. Martisic gets it back. Second try, yes.
Now Martisic's greatest game was in his freshman year when he led the Terrapins to a victory over then #1 North Carolina.
How about this, Billy? Maryland's missed 9 shots. They've retrieved the 9 shots 7 times, 7 offensive boards.
Well, they think they're Michigan State, huh?
Wow. Badier.
Tough shot.
Tipped up and tipped out. Nicholas.
Dunleavy has had 3 easy chances today, didn't get any of them to go.
Step out 3, and Blake puts Maryland up double digits. Well, it was already, but now 13.
Mike Krzyzewski asking for a walk, but getting no calls here.
Timeout, Duke. Been a lot of good moments, though, for the Devils. Down 13, been out-rebounded 16-4.
Well, 2 things really come out to you as well, Jim. No 3-point shooting, and basically Jason Williams, who's not in the ball game right now, has been very quiet on penetration. Blake did a great job on him.
Away from the ball.
Martisic down on the inside. Cheap foul.
And we have the under 12 official timeout.
Absolutely. Of course, these teams love to play a frenetic type pace. Maryland came back from 14 down to tie this game in the ACC tournament. Had it tied and then lost in the last minute and 3 seconds. I mean, 1 and 10 seconds.
Not only that, they had scored the first 10 points of the game, then found themselves down 14.
We see these coaches playing a little game here. Williams going back in. Blake sits down while Williams out of the game. Nice move by Gary Williams.
Badier, that was called on Holden. That's the first point for the National Player of the Year in almost every poll. Williams comes back.
And let's see if Blake comes back in this game with Williams there. Did such a good job, and he has Williams' number so far. Sanders tries to tap it back and can't get it.
And quickly and out of reach for Holden.
Not a bad idea with a 12-point lead to go for that. Holden was breaking. He just had a bad angle for the pass. And now it's going to be Dixon, one of the top defenders in the ACC, playing Jason Williams. Nicholas on Duhan.
3 Maryland starters will be checking back into the lineup momentarily. Badier steps in. The 2 is deflected.
Great job by Martisic coming out, realizing Badier. Here's Dixon going to the floor.
Needs some help. Into the air, and Miller unable to grab it.
First time Duke was able to get this game going their way. No call on that jump shot. This game is wild.
Martisic underneath to secure it, this time settle it down.
But Jim, the 7-footer went out on Badier, who had faked holding up in the air. A good defensive play. You don't see Duke offensively playing their game at all. You can see Badier knowing Holden will take that shot, so he's playing him tight.
Great pass, Martisic to Miller, and Maryland's on the board again. Largest lead of the game, it's 14.
I haven't seen Duke, and primarily because Jason Williams is not getting his game going.
What a shot. Left-handed off the glass for Dunleavy.
One of the DD men. Dunleavy is growing into that 6'9" body of his, so fluid. Maryland seems more confident in pace than does Duke.
Look at Dixon. Three-pointer.
Maryland not a great three-point shooting basketball team, but Dixon certainly knows how to take it, as does Holden.
Williams to Sanders in traffic. Comes out with it. Dunleavy open. He'll fire it. All kinds of action underneath.
And there was Sanders inside with not the great hands. Didn't have a chance to put things off. It's going to be a foul on Maryland, it looks like.
Yes, on Drew Nicholas.
And Duke University not able to get the penetration and kickouts that they normally have in a game, which makes up a big part of their offense.
They bring back Baxter, Morris, and Blake, and Mouton.
And Blake goes right over to say hello to his former roommate. Jason, how you doing? I'm back out on the floor. He has really done a fine job against him so far.
Yeah, in fact, the last 2 matchups against Williams, he's had 11 assists in each game. Tough pass, and Mouton chases it down. Dixon's taken middle, and a reach-in. James saved it for Duke.
Much as the same case we saw in the first game with Tom Izzo, I think Mike Krzyzewski's looking out on the floor and saying, I don't recognize this team that's playing. Duke really out of sync here. And give a lot of credit to Maryland, just as in the case with Arizona. They're making them out of sync.
Blake and Baxter had his back turned. Badier almost dragged that foot.
Smart play on his part, though, because his teammates ran away from the pass.
Williams gives it up last second. James comes right back to him in the corner. And Badier's open in the lane for 2.
You see what Maryland's doing defensively? They're running right out and challenging the three-point shot, allowing Duke to pump fake and drive around, but they're taking away the 3. Jason Williams might have got by with one right there. He's got the 1 foul to start off with, and if you're Mike Krzyzewski, you need that young man on the floor. Dixon's got speed over James.
Baxter helps him with a pick, and he
takes
it down with another 3.
You're not going to be able to hedge move with Boozer on a Dixon. Dixon's too quick for him when he steps out. He just goes right around him on a curl.
11 for Dixon. Tough pass. Mouton got a hand on it. Maryland makes the steal. Baxter's up ahead, and they find him. Oh, and he is stuffed. They're going to call the foul on Dunleavy.
Boy, that was all ball. It's a very strange game the way that's being called.
Remember the Jefferson stuff in the first game?
Boy, this is a great block. How can that be a foul?
There was no contact.
No contact at all on that with the body or anything else. That's as clean a block as you can have. Mike Krzyzewski, when he is not really working the referees, you know he's starting to get steamed. You can fry an egg on his forehead right now. And he's saying, who's the foul on? Oh, now they say the foul's on Badier. He wasn't even in the play.
And over here, Ted Hillary, one of the officials, points to Dunleavy. They're going to go over and make sure that this is corrected.
Without question, it has to be Dunleavy, but it certainly wasn't his foul at all because he made a clean block. In any case, it'll be Baxter, the factor, on the line. Did you notice, Jim, his great hands on that play? In the open court, he just can catch the ball so well.
So Dunleavy, even though it was all ball, gets charged, and Baxter, the West Regional MVP, will shoot one more. So 2 on Dunleavy. He's out.
Well, he was 7-16 against Georgia State, 19 points, 14 rebounds, 26 and 14 against Georgetown, and 24 and 6 against Stanford.
Duhan,
big first half.
Takes it home.
The young man transferred from Tulane, having a big first half for this team, a big lift.
19 points in front, and 1 shot, and Duke gets it back. I was about to say one and done. They're going the other way.
Jason Williams having a hard time getting rid of Blake. Blake is so used to him, he stays right in front of him. He always tries to take him off the three-point line and makes him dribble penetrate. Boozer open with Baxter on him.
Kicks it out, Badier. Much needed 3. Looks like Morris may have got a hand on it. Back out, Williams. Off the front of the rim. James with the putback. He knows all about doing something like that around the basket against Maryland.
That's almost a replay of ACC tournament semifinal. A putback for a basket. And a pass to the finals where Duke wore out North Carolina for their 3rd straight ACC tournament championship.
And that's against James.
You know, you can make a question here, Jim, that almost every call that's been made could have gone the other way.
Maryland doubling up Duke.
Second half against Southern California, they went cold as well. So right now, in basically what amounts to a game, they're 2 for 13 and 5 for 18, Badier and Williams. So really have gone cold.
And a push off called on Williams, his 2nd. By CSI.
Blake got hit in the side of the head. He's holding his ear, but I guess he's okay.
For a moment, it looked like he tried to call timeout.
Well, he called
a call for a palm. Before he took the inbound pass, he signaled for a timeout. He is really in pain.
He's got that ear ringing right now. I want to see if Gary Williams will get him out of there. The officials are not stopping it. Jason Williams goes right on by.
Follow up, no. Back to Badier. Blake reaches in to help force the steal.
Duhan, who's having the big first half.
Look at his speed, lead to 2. Blake looking to the bench. He wants out.
And what Gary Williams is trying to do is get a free timeout by having the official realize there's a man injured out here. But no help.
To the corner, James.
Duke cannot buy a 3.
Out to Baxter, to Blake. He'll tough it out on this possession. With a 3, you bet. And I'll tell you,
the Blue Devils are in trouble now. Blake, with that bad ear, Jim, makes a steal because of it, and then he hits a 3.
The Blue Devils' ears are ringing right now, too. They are down 22 with 6:40 to go in the first half. James, yes, much needed.
The 5th-year senior, part of 5 ACC regular season championships. That is something will never be duplicated. Trying to bring him back.
Oh, and a near steal, Duhan. Blake off the floor, off Duhan. And Blake will get to come out at last. Nicholas replaces him. How did he get hurt?
Well, you see, he'll come right back here. He gets hit on the shoulder blade by Baxter and really gives him a ring. But because of that, he made the big steal on Badier on the other end when he was holding his ear and then came down and hit the 3. I think he'll be all right. He'll feel a lot better when he looks up at the scoreboard and sees how his team is dominating this game.
Nicholas drives, and it's a block call. Block call against Boozer.
That puts Nicholas on the line. Mike Krzyzewski looking at a Duke team that he has never seen before.
He had quite a game late in the season at Virginia. Double-double, 16 and 10. 10 assists, that is. So a lot of guys can come in and give this team a boost.
Yes, a lot of flexibility off that bench, and we talked about the front court where they have a lot of depth and size. Nicholas gives them an opportunity. He can play either the 1 or the 2 position at the guard spot, so that makes Dixon very flexible as well. Blake sitting over there, going to get a nice rest, not be in any foul trouble. And again, Jason Williams on the bench, so Duke not able to use the man that's really put them on the offensive thrust in this tournament very well here in the first half.
And again, the lead is doubled. 6 minutes to go in the half.
As I said before, Maryland couldn't have had a better opponent for them in the Final Four, a team that has a great reputation, but a team that they have played well all year long and think they can beat.
Badier, baseliner. Oh, look at Dunleavy.
6'9" guard.
He was way up there.
He really was. But you can see the Maryland defensive strategies to take away all three-point shots, even if it means giving up some penetration.
Duhan, get back to him, and he wasn't really looking for it. Morris had a good idea. Duhan pull up.
Yeah, but do you see where the hand was? Right on his shot.
Here
4 against 1.
Morris blocked by Badier. Charge called against Maryland.
We will see the missed shot right here, and Dunleavy way above the rim and does a great job not putting his hand in the cylinder. Terrific job on his part. He was above that rim. What, Jim, would you say 1.5 feet?
He was right above the window. Right on it, anyway.
And here we have again Jason Williams sitting. Which reminds me a little bit. In 1981, Bob Knight sat Isaiah Thomas when a guy by the name of Ethan Martin was taking care of him in the first half of the LSU-Indiana game. But it didn't take Isaiah much time to get started in the championship game against North Carolina.
Boozer with the bucket for the Blue Devils. And James whistled for that one.
Nate James had the right idea. We've seen a lot of dangerous cross-court passing out front by teams in both games today.
Blake back on the floor. How about his action?
He has been outstanding. There was that bounce pass, and it only works when you got a big man that can catch the ball like that. That was a tough ball to catch. Another one inside. There's Dixon moving well without the ball. There's that jumper that Blake hit after he'd been hit in the ear. Young man from Miami having a terrific game as usual against Duke.
Bartisic and Holden come back as a pair again for Baxter and Morris.
You know, we talked about the Williams-Blake matchup. Even in the game where Williams went crazy and brought Duke with 8 points when they were down by 10 with a minute to go, came back with those 8 points in 14 seconds. Blake had fouled out of that game, Jim, and up to that point, Jason Williams had 11 points and 10 turnovers. So I realized Duke won that game, and Williams had the big stats when it was all over. But when Blake was on the floor, Williams was in trouble.
He has forced some ugly numbers in that department.
He sure has.
Blake and the Williams matchup all season.
And Duke players are going to have to make the adjustment that they're not going to get the threes. They've got to penetrate and kick out. And there it is.
Nice move by James, very aggressive to the hole.
The penetration will definitely be there. You can see what Maryland has decided to do. Duke will have to adjust.
Dixon short on the three. It's James again.
With Gary Williams, you got to get a little nervous right now because Duke is a kind of team can make a great run.
Duhan prevented that bucket inside. Tie up, arrow, Duke.
Dunleavy wanted a timeout. He gets it. He had the arrow anyway.
One official again. First indicated tie up, but instead timeout. Duke ball when we come back. Jim Nance, Billy Packer back here at the Final Four. Arizona in the title game with its 19-point win over Michigan State. Second time in NCAA history, two teams from the ACC in the Final Four. We mentioned that earlier, Virginia, Carolina, back in '81. But it's actually the first time two ACC teams have met in the tournament at any stage since '83 in Ralph Sampson's final college game.
Against Jerry Wittenberg in NC State. And finally, Shane Badier says, I had an open look from 3. One of those patented runs. You get a feel for Duke coming right here, and they'd like, and if you're Mike Krzyzewski, you'd like to have it take place before the half.
You know there's one coming. I mean, there's just too much of a track record in the first 3 games for them not to be.
That was not a good shot by Dixon. Nobody under, not expecting it.
Duhan, nice, but taken away by Bartisic. And the Terps run it out. Holden.
Oh, Badier got a piece of that ball.
Back to Dixon off the glass.
Beautiful gliding shot right there. And one of the things that Duhan will have to learn, is you can throw passes inside to Boozer, who has decent hands, but Sanders cannot catch that ball on the move. So he makes a good pass, but to the wrong person. And you see what Dunleavy just did the same thing there. Casey, you're not the recipient of that kind of pass.
Badier is, and he delivers.
There's the difference. You've got to take in consideration who's the receiver if you're a good passer. Little turnaround right here for Duke University.
A 22-point lead at one time, trimmed to 13. Blake past Duhan to the corner, Holden. Charge.
Badier with a tremendous recovery on that play. He is so intelligent as a basketball player.
I don't think there's ever been anyone better at college basketball at drawing the charge. He's done it again. Timeout on the floor. Gary Williams was a 3-year starting point guard at Maryland. Snuck into his first Final Four when it was played at Cole Fieldhouse back in 1966.
Saw a pretty good game.
Yes, he did.
Game.
Texas Western over Kentucky. Brought back to his alma mater by then athletic director Lou Perkins to revive the program that was on life support. And a call against the Terps.
Jim, I really wondered why Gary Williams came out of that timeout without getting his starters on the floor. With 2:45 to go, you have got a whole halftime to get yourself rested. And I thought he was really taking a chance, but immediately he gets Morris and Baxter back in there because you don't want this run to take place by Duke University. And Holden, a very valuable scorer, gets his third foul here in the first half.
1-1 for Badier. First to ever be so honored as the Naismith High School and College Player of the Year, and the 10th Duke player ever to have his jersey retired. But he did have his senior day, the final home game of his career, spoiled by Maryland. February the 27th, the Terps won at Cameron, the second straight year. 16-5 Duke run.
Nice reverse dribble by Dixon, but he's caught in the corner and nobody's coming to help him out. There are those great hands by Baxter.
Boy, did he shuffle the feet? Some people thought he had.
Oh, Duhan has to be careful.
It's going against him. Coming up, singular at the half. Greg Clark and Bill will have the first half analysis, and they'll be joined on the set by Lute Olson, whose Wildcats will compete for the championship Monday night. All coming up on singular at the half.
And Jim, there you see Lute Olson, terrific job in the first game. Jim, that play that we just saw there is so amazing when you've got a big guy that can catch a ball. It seems like such an easy, fundamental thing to do. But instead of it being a turnover to a guy who can't catch the ball, it turns out to be a Maryland opportunity to get 2 off the foul line. Big, big difference.
And Baxter hits 2. He termed it as a desperate situation when they played Stanford in the West Final to get to the Final Four. He said, we were desperate.
And there's Jason Williams actually turned that ball over, got lucky. Cheap foul called. Williams really out of sync in this first half. We have seen him play better than anybody in the NCAA tournament coming into the Final Four. He hasn't had much going right in this first half, however.
Second on Morris. And Williams, look at his point totals. Didn't have to play many minutes against Monmouth. Back-to-back 30-point games, Missouri, UCLA. First Duke player to do that in the NCAA since Jeff Mullins. And in 28 against USC.
And he had that 19 points run in a row. I'm not talking about as a Duke team. We're talking about as Jason Williams individually. Put on quite a show. Probably the only time he bettered that all year is those 8 points in 14 seconds against Maryland.
As soon as Blake fouled out of the game in round 1 of what is now round 4 of the Maryland-Duke series on the season.
Good solid rebound by Morris against Badier there.
A tug on the ear by Blake.
Looking for maybe a little pick and roll action for Morris. He's got a small man on him, takes advantage. Blake.
Yep. Shuffled the feet before he put it on the floor.
Boy, Maryland had exactly what they wanted that time. Big on little because of the pick and roll situation, and Morris doesn't get a chance to take advantage.
Wilcox from the state of North Carolina, from Raleigh. 6'10" freshman who's going to be a good one.
He really is, and it shows again the depth that this team has in the front court.
11 turnovers for the Terrapins. yet they lead by 12. Inside Boozer.
A big man who can catch.
Timeout, Maryland.
Amazing how this very subtle comeback taking place by Duke University. Not one of their patented runs, but solid.
The comeback fueled by, among others, Carlos Boozer. It's down to 10. Lauren Woods doing a little scouting. He knows all about ACC ball. And this man right here, Eugene Ederson, knows a little thing about playing in Monday night championship games. Ederson, a part of that title team for sure back in '97. Baxter. Morris may have gotten away with one over the back. It would have been his third.
Nate James coming up with some solid performance here in the last 4 or 5 minutes. Again, they're attacking that jump shot.
Duhan had the three and tried to step in for the two.
Delayed call. This first half, Jim, I've got to say, is very poorly officiated for both teams. Gary Williams can't believe it, neither can Baxter.
Baxter's second.
The officials are really out of sync in this ball game. Duhan goes in. Baxter makes a little touch. The foul is called late after Baxter actually had the rebound.
But he did put his hands on him that time.
He did.
So 2 for Duhan, who really started that East Final, hitting some huge threes in the second half to shake off USC. A great run by Henry Bibby and the Trojans. A regional final, I might add, that Shane Badier predicted selection night. Said, we're going to see, told his teammates USC in that final 8. And he also told Badier Juan Dixon in Atlanta after that game against Maryland, we'll see you in Minneapolis.
Blake putting it out in front of Duhan. Duhan almost getting a piece of that ball a couple times. Nice crossover dribble, but a bad shot.
But Baxter retrieves.
Boozer doing a good job in there. Williams just doesn't seem confident to be able to go by Blake. Blake doesn't have the quickest feet, but he just stays in front of him all the time.
It's not the same player from the first 4 games of this tournament.
It is really amazing how he can look him right in the gut. Oh, there's a crossover. Finally, nothing there.
Boozer with those strong hands. And a call on Morris. It'll be his third.
It is amazing how this game is getting away from Maryland. They can't get anything structured. They've gotten out of their offense, taking some quick shots, and they're not turning that ball over the way they were earlier.
Maryland led at the 7-minute mark, 39-17.
Carlos Boozer, when he got injured against Maryland, he had 16 points, 7 rebounds, and Duke was in the lead in that game. But when he went down with that foot injury, Maryland took the game and just took it over in Carmichael. There's Williams sitting down again.
And Morris going out with his 3 fouls, so Wilcox and Martisic in for Maryland, last 30 seconds.
Good move by Mike Krzyzewski, not wanting Jason Williams to pick up a cheap foul.
Boozer 0 for 2, but James has made some significant plays until that pass.
The ACC's #1 man in steals. Dixon picks it off.
They can take the final shot. He knows it. Very steady.
James cannot stay with Dixon quickness-wise, and Dixon knows that. He wants a clear out.
Makes his move. No, he'll take the 3.
Whoa!
What a shot!
What a huge turnaround. Duke would have had the last shot with an opportunity to close into the lead. Dixon, the leader he is, handles it. Boy, he backed James off. He's too quick for James, can go around him, and pulls up with a huge 3.
What did they do yesterday during their practice here? They stood around as a team and shot from mid-court.
Well, Baxter doing exactly what we expected inside, just a solid game. He does have 2 fouls on him, so he's got to be worried. He's got to be very careful inside. He has been the factor. 7 points, 5 rebounds, very solid, good hands. The good, bad, and the ugly. Morris has done a fine job in there. He's got 5 rebounds, 3 points. Nothing ugly about that at all. Almost complete. Shane Badier has been taken off the 3-point line. 10 points, solid job, but not what we expected. And Isaiah in blue, it has been Williams. 1 for 7 is blue, not Isaiah.
I was going to say, is that what you meant?
No, I didn't mean that one. And that is probably the difference in this game, to be quite honest with you.
Duke before tonight's largest halftime deficit on the season was 9 against Maryland. Game 1, Devils came back to win it.
How about this? Duke using Williams.
Badier over the back, Morris.
Did you see
right away with his 4th?
Well, that is a huge foul, and Gary Williams now is going to have to go to that bench a lot earlier than he wanted to. But interesting what Mike Krzyzewski did there, Jim. He took the ball out of Jason Williams' hands, had him being the guard that was moving without the ball, trying to get Blake away from him. We'll see if he continues to do that in the half. He had Dunleavy out handling the ball with Duhan.
So a big moment, though, in the first 14 seconds of the second half. And Morris departs. Wilcox replaces him.
I'm surprised that Wilcox is the replacement right here.
We got Holden on the bench with 3.
Yeah, but I thought that it might be Martisech with his experience, or maybe Miller. So the freshman goes in there, Wilcox, with Badier on it.
Duhan, and a tie-up, the arrow, Maryland. Let's go over to Bonnie Bernstein.
Duke said that might be the most emotional locker room he's seen in the Blue Devils all year. He said the first 12 minutes we didn't play Duke basketball. Then we started getting aggressive and pressuring and could close the gap. Standing outside the locker room, I can tell you there was an awful lot of yelling and screaming about finding your heart at a critical time in Duke's season.
And it went on for, I might add, about 2 minutes longer than Maryland's locker room visit. Devils were late getting out here compared to the Terps.
Jason Williams moving those feet on defense.
Inside open. Duhan, oh, and it rolls off the rim to the line for a pair.
Good look inside by Wilcox. You're talking about a freshman finding an open man when he's handling the ball in an area where he's really not that comfortable.
Duhan's second, and Mouton will shoot 2.
Really good first half by Mouton. 3 for 5, 6 points, 5 rebounds. Solid.
He had a solid first game of the tournament, too. Really starred against George Mason when some of the other notables had an off game, including Baxter, only had 2 points. Mouton had 22.
He had 9 for 9 from the foul line, which was an NCAA record for Maryland. Jason Williams crossover dribble, trying to get something started. Look at how they're taking away that three-point shot. Just rushing right at the Duke players.
Badier, though, he has an open look, and he nails it.
Good movement that time by Duke University to set something up from the outside.
Inside, Baxter, and they don't let him get the easy 2.
Pretty good foul by Sanders, who has fouls to give. Duke University probably going with Sanders as long as they can, then get Boozer back in there. Now, Maryland, surprisingly, with their deep front line, in some foul trouble, particularly with key guys. We see Morris already out of this game to sit down.
Morris with 4, Holden with 3. Baxter will shoot another free throw. A Maryland team that handed both Duke and Stanford their largest losses of the season. You talk about Duke and Stanford, they held the #1 ranking collectively 12 of the 18 weeks. They both fell to the Terrapins, and their biggest losses of the year to this team that now leads by 9. Second half, Williams, and creating another foul here.
Jim, there's where Williams really has the advantage, even against guards that are good defenders, as Blake has been against him. He is so strong in his upper body, and he talks about how he was so disappointed in that loss against Florida last year that he spent the summer bulking up, getting stronger, and now he really overpowers people when he takes them inside.
It's the first on Blake. Set back out of there. Williams got Duhan on a wing. This could bring it to 4. You got it.
I want to give Badier so much credit. He anticipated exactly what Baxter was going to do. That's why he's been the best defender in college basketball for 3 straight years.
It is following the script of the first 3 epic matchups. The Devils are back in it. Look who's loving it. Grant Hill.
Had a pretty good Final Four, too, didn't he? That nice, confident smile. One of the great all-time college basketball players, not only at Duke, but anywhere else.
And away from the action, is Jason Williams, one of the all-time great givers back to a program, too, when you talk about Grant Hill.
Absolutely.
$1 million endowment.
Well, we remember, was it right not here, Jim, that incredible catch against Kansas?
That was Indianapolis. That was
that
the
was
first one.
That was the first
That's
one.
when he was a freshman, just the start of the game on a
right.
feed from Hurley. And Wilcox, he had to kind of find himself under the cylinder there. The freshman from Maryland.
Big mistake there for Duke. Man-to-man out of bounds.
Williams, send it back out of there. Badier, collision with Blake. They'll call it on Blake. His second.
Blake cannot afford any cheap fouls. Having to guard Williams out there, he needs to stay on the floor. He knows he has no chance to get this one. Not a good play by Blake there. And if you're Maryland, you want to keep Duke off that foul line the best you can. And we saw, as was the case for Granville, Southern California, you do not want to go ahead and pick up cheap fouls. You're playing in the backcourts against Duke. What a hand.
2 wins to do it, and 2 victories would tie him with Wayne Turner of Kentucky as the winningest college basketball player of all time. He's got 129 career wins. It's an all-time ACC record. Turner, who, by the way, now is a starting point guard for the Globetrotters, who had a 1,200-plus game win streak snapped this year to Michigan State. All right, the Devils again within 4, under 18 to play. Maryland, in both of the losses to Duke this year, blew second-half double-digit leads.
Pretty good back screen by Mouton, doesn't work.
Blake, though, very savvy with that one.
What Blake is recognizing is Duhan is trying to steal it every time he uses the crossover dribble.
James, he feeds from the corner, but not here. Sanders,
nice
battles,
rebound.
too strong, and Baxter clears.
Just not strong enough to finish inside with all those powerful bodies. But a guy is coming from that bench right now who is strong enough. Boozer going to be coming into the game. Solid screen up here, trying to get the hedge move.
Dixon, front of the rim, just barely grazed it. Loose ball, Mouton.
Sanders reached for the ball instead of moving his feet to get that rebound, and it really cost Duke.
Back up to 8, Duhan. One Louisiana player at one end, Mouton, and then Duhan from Slidell, Louisiana at the other.
2 high school players of the year from their respective states.
Inside, doubled up Baxter. Badier made the play.
Badier is anticipating exactly what Baxter's going to do. What Baxter has to read there is an immediate pass when he catches it in the low post. Holden comes in, and only because of that foul trouble, Jim, in my estimation, did Gary Williams not go with Holden first when Morris got into foul trouble. So he stole some minutes with Wilcox.
Inside play you were calling for, Billy, and it's Boozer delivering. You said that's what they're going to have to go to in this half.
That's right. They go down inside with a power game, so they stole some minutes with Sanders. Both coaches here looking for a game that they think is going down the wire, trying to save as much as they can on that bench. Boy, Baxter's got to realize Boozer's trying to help out a lot. Baxter can get open underneath the basket.
5 on the shot clock. Holden,
Great shot, touch.
Mouton, he has had a very active game. It's going to be a charge against Mouton of Maryland.
Nice job by Jason Williams. Realizing he had a man against him that was bigger, he just held his ground.
Second on Mouton.
There's Jason Williams holding his ground with his feet. Nice job.
Back inside Minneapolis's Metrodome Gym Nance, Billy Packer with the singular sky cam. And no question really, Billy, before today, the highest profile program never to be in a Final Four. Maryland leading over Duke. James trying to slice it to 1.
Nice rebound by Dixon over Duhan.
Dixon speeds past Boozer, gets bumped from behind. It looked like he was passing. Will they say he was in the act of shooting?
No, I think he was passing the ball. I think the official's all over that. He gets hit from behind, but he was making the pass. He's trying to work it with the official. Doesn't get the call.
He is the leading free throw shooter in the ACC. You mentioned earlier, tops in the league in steals, too. Second one on Boozer.
There's that man-to-man out-of-bounds situation, and that time, his zone out of bounds, and Duke plays a lot better.
And rejected by Badier. Again, stepping up defensively. Williams, stutter step move under the basket, gets to spin.
There's Jason Williams. So tough when he uses that hesitation dribble. Borders on a carry, gets by with it.
His first field goal in exactly 20 minutes on the game clock.
He was 1 for 9 up to that point. Duke only 3 for 17 from 3. Here he goes, turning that corner. Slides underneath, uses a rim, beautiful.
Blake, the other point guard, answers.
What Duhan is trying to do, Jim, is steal the ball from Blake too much instead of what Blake is doing to Williams, which is keeping his body and feet right squared up and in front of him. Duhan's got to play more solidly or Blake will eat him up. Kick out, kick out.
Yep, Duhan over Dixon. And stepping in is Williams to slam it home.
Just as we saw Sanders stand and reach for the ball, that's what happened to 2 Maryland players on that possession. You have got to go get to it. Miller coming in. Now see if Duhan will now start to play more solidly. He's always reaching for the ball, and that's getting him in trouble.
Holden, Dixon challenges the big bodies, no whistle. Baxter, Badier, all ball, and the arrow belongs to Duke.
How about that block, Jim? 2 hands on the ball. Great timing by Badier. He is a brilliant defender. This is a sensational defensive play. All ball with 2 hands.
Right hand was in there a little bit, but beautiful with the left.
If the hand is on the ball, the hand and the ball are one and the same, Jim.
3 blocks for Badier. Not until tomorrow will they announce the National Defensive Player of the Year. And if he's not the man, there's still time to maybe change that vote. How can you not? 3rd straight year it'll be for Badier, no doubt.
Williams
and Baxter rejects.
Good hands.
Williams saves it, and it's Duke ball.
He threw it off Miller's body. Smart play by Jason because he knew if he threw the ball back out on the court, it would be like a pass. Solid screen by Boozer for Jason Williams. Blake understands that. He doesn't want Jason to get the ball.
From 22 down to tie the game, no. Baxter pulls it away for the Terrapins.
They tried to use Williams as a decoy on that play.
Holden over Badier, not close. Miller. Heads up off James.
Well, Miller just saw what it felt like for Jason Williams to do it on the other end of the floor.
Dunleavy and Sanders back for Duke. Dunleavy and Sanders.
And you got to figure, trying to keep Boozer fresh. You know, Williams is coming out of this game a lot. You wonder if maybe he's a little under the weather. This is not like Mike to be putting him down that much. He has played some games where he'll play up in a 40-minute style.
Dixon traveling? Yes. Martisic in for Maryland. The senior, again, played more games than any Terrapin ever, 136. If Maryland wins today, it would be his 100th victory. No one's had more wins in that school's very big basketball history, although that history never included a Final Four before today. Badier,
tough shot.
Would have given him the lead, and Blake comes out with it quickly.
Dixon's open.
Martisic taps it in, back up to 4.
That's where I thought Gary Williams would go when he had to go with Morris on that bench. Let a senior who looked like he was pretty aggressive in the first half get some playing time. He went with Wilcox, and it didn't cost him too much. Jim, I mentioned back to Williams again. He played 39 minutes against Missouri, 37 against Southern California. He's been sitting down a lot in this game.
And he's about to check back in again. Oh, gets it to go, and he's going to the line.
Good play by Duhan, knowing he had his man in the air. That shot went up, not worried about making it, but drawing the foul. And it goes for him anyway. He's got Blake in the air. That's why I said earlier, Blake cannot afford to get any cheap fouls because he has such responsibility defensively against the likes of Duhan and Williams.
That's just like Blake's last foul, too, except that one wasn't in the act of shooting. He just comes colliding down with the Blue Devil, and Duhan can bring it back to 1.
You get the feeling these two teams could play for a month of Sundays and it would still be a close game no matter who gets a good run. A lot of mutual respect, but it's amazing. They've scouted each other and played against each other so much that they know exactly what the tendencies are.
Williams in for Duhan. Nicholas handling the ball for Maryland. Is like Juan Dixon said this week, we bring out the best in each other. There he is. Dixon had that huge first half. Nicholas. Martisic, his second basket since coming back in.
Got the big body. We're talking about a guy with 4 majors, great grades, and playing a fine basketball game.
Dixon on the reach. And his second. It's going to be a 1-and-1 for Jason Williams.
Jim, Jason is in this second half changing his game somewhat, taking the ball right all the way to the basket now, trying to get on that foul line. He realizes they're trying to take away his outside jump shot, so he's penetrating to the hoop. Still having trouble with the foul shots, however. And when you think of this Duke team, they broke the national record this year, 391 threes, breaking that Arkansas record of 365 way back in '95, but Maryland has taken them away from the three-point line today.
We've got the under 12 timeout. Is there any doubt? Maryland and Duke are coming down to the wire again. 2-point game, second half.
Away points that Maryland thought they already had on the scoreboard, Jim, with great defensive play. Here's a double team for the first time by Duke in the backcourt.
Tough pass pulled down by Holden, and they get it across with 2 seconds to spare. Duke is on a 45-25 stretch since being down 22 in the first half.
This is about the longest time period of a comeback, though, I've seen. Good job by Nicholas.
On the drive, back up to 4.
Every time Duke seems to get it down to a point where they can take the lead, somebody from Maryland comes back and does a good job. Now here Maryland, for the first time, going zone.
Williams, player in his face, front of the rim.
Yep, they are taking away his three-point shot the whole game. Dixon doesn't mind taking it to the hoop.
Blocked by Dunleavy. Dixon back up with it. And Badier over to Boozer.
Jason does not have the numbers.
Outside, James has the shot.
Good block out by Martisic. He took Boozer right away. Duke having all kinds of problems from 3. This year against Maryland, they took 97 threes prior to this time, made 32 of them. But today they can't find the mark because Maryland's playing them tight at the three-point line.
And there was a foul there on James with its threes. 4 of 20 for the game. Meanwhile, at the other end, there's a 3 by Juan Dixon.
Jim, what Duke can do to get some three-point shots, now that's not a good one either. What they can do to get three-point shots is to penetrate, force the defense to play them inside, and then kick out. What they're trying to do is to get it with just rotation passes, or like we saw Duhan do there, coming off the dribble right down court with nobody inside. Bad play by the freshman.
3rd on Boozer. Dixon's shot a moment ago, his first points of the second half.
Good switch by Badier. Nicholas should go get the ball back. He's got Badier on him.
Dixon wants it, has the feeling. Not this time. Holden gets it back to him, though. This is the one he just hit. And Badier with the 2 hands secures it.
Nice job by Nicholas, realizing that his team was not in good defensive position, got back so that Duke couldn't get the numbers on the fast break. And there they are in the 1-2-2 zone. Martisic and Holden down inside.
Badier's 3. Yes.
And Martisic not quick enough and did not anticipate quick enough that Badier's out on the side. It's amazing how that Maryland can play the 3 much better from their man-to-man. Badier just went out and extended the zone.
Nicholas, second time, over the back. Holden. The fourth on Holden.
Look at Badier leading his team down the floor running, trying to show Maryland that we've got more left in our tank than you do yours. Good leadership there.
It'll be a 1-and-1 at the other end. They're playing for the right to take on Arizona Monday night in Minneapolis for the national championship. 80-61 victory today over Michigan State.
Jim, that's like teams in football in that fourth quarter run down to the other end and say, you know what? We've got the gas. You don't have it.
Absolute mind game.
Yes, it is.
And missing the front end of it, Badier.
Jason Williams anticipating the pass.
Nicholas bounces it in. And going to the line will be Holden.
Boy, Holden has such great hands on the inside. He is going to be some player for Maryland. One of those kind of guys, not heavily recruited. Some people thought in high school he was too soft to play in a league like the ACC, but he's working on his game, and you can really anticipate this guy being a major factor in college basketball.
From the Jersey Shore, from Red Bank Regional High School, sophomore Taj Holden will shoot 2.
Well, this young man, Jim, coming into the Final Four, was 20 for 31, 65% in his last 7 games. So it shows you the lift that Maryland got off the bench from him.
Hit big threes against Stanford, 3 of them, as they took out the 1 seed in the West in that regional final. 0 for 2 here, and Sanders tips it over to Badier. 4-point deficit for Duke.
And they stay in the zone. 1-2-2 with Miller out on top. Jason Williams has got to penetrate with the dribble and get it inside and then kick out.
What's it going to be? It's a charge on Badier, his second.
I'm really surprised that Duke has not recognized what's available in this game. There's Badier on the drive, but he's got to look to pass out. But it's too late.
Now look at Holden step in there with 4 fouls and draw it.
But he knows this, Jim. He's got men on the bench. Morris has been out for a long time. Wilcox back there. You can see Gary Williams trying to save as many minutes as he can. Probably comes back with Morris at the 7-minute mark. There's that turnover.
And Badier's charge, by the way, goes in the books as a turnover, which is the first turnover of the half for the Blue Devils, who certainly made a lot of miscues early in this game, but 4 straight possessions, but certainly simmered down ever since. Only 6 for the game. Williams
tried to create an extra arch on that ball to get it over the top.
Duhan steps in, Maryland ball.
Again, Duke University throwing the ball around on the perimeter instead of getting penetration inside with kickouts to get much better looks from 3.
So Dixon returns.
I'm wondering when Morris is going to come back in this ball game, Jim, for Maryland to get more experience on the floor. Smart play by Dixon. He's got Dunleavy. He's quicker than Dunleavy and wants to take him.
And a switch. He's got Badier on him now. Spin move on him. Right into the hands of Sanders. Nowhere to go.
Shows you the versatility of Badier defensively, taking on a guard that's that quick.
Badier, wow, out there, as long as you'll see. That was Dixon proportions at the end of the first half.
That was almost like Maryland was trying at halftime at the end of practice yesterday. Or at half court, rather. Miller not going to get by with that.
1-point game, and Duhan with the reach.
You just get the feeling that Duke is ready to get control of the lead, and every time there's a play that just doesn't quite work out. There's the good penetration kick out.
Block with his defense.
Another block. Young man with 5 straight 20-point games in the NCAA tournament. Doing it again today.
Actually, 6. You go back to last year. He's got 5 straight double-doubles, too. 1-1 with Miller. And former McDonald's High School All-America. He'll shoot 1 more. Former South Jersey Player of the Year. Did you even recognize basketball, by the way, the other night in that McDonald's All-America game, Billy? What was that I was watching?
Well, it wasn't the sport that's normally played in that arena, I can tell you that.
Was Ed Cameron. Badier trying to bring back the Devils. Maryland trying to hold them off.
Well, remember, Boozer did not play at all in the ACC tournament game, which Duke won by 2 against Maryland. Little full court pressure. And with Morris back in, they go man-to-man.
And there, Williams gives Duke the lead, 73-72, with his first three of the game.
Very important half-court set now for Duke University. Badier battles for a rebound.
It was Nicholas in there trying to keep it alive. The arrow belongs to Maryland.
Great timing by Badier. First thing I'd do is go inside to Baxter and get Boozer out of the game if possible with his 5th foul. Because Boozer gives Duke University something they don't have.
Inbounds pass to Morris.
Second time today against in an inbound situation, Maryland scores. And there again, Blake staying in front of Williams.
Williams was still able to weave his way to regain the lead.
Again, let's see if they'll go ahead and make Boozer play Baxter inside. Blake wanted the lob, but a good job by Duhan getting back to cut that off.
Blake back to the corner. Miller, open look. Baxter again on the offensive glass. Finally, Boozer clears.
No numbers. Doesn't even be smart to pull this back out.
Charge.
What is he thinking? Has no place to go. Mike Krzyzewski can't believe it either. No numbers for Duke. If you want possession, you've got a 1-point lead. Bring that ball back out. The son of a coach making a mistake there.
And he heads to the bench along with Boozer. Nate James back on the floor. Casey Sanders. Morris. Back and forth we go. Maryland with the lead with 5.5 to play.
There goes to show you that a mental mistake can hurt as much as a physical. Duke gives up an opportunity to have the ball and the lead with a mistake.
Williams again wants it all the way and draws the foul.
Goes down hard, and what he's doing right now is challenging Blake every time he touches the ball.
CBS Sportsline stat of the game, field goal percentages by half. Look how they've reversed. For complete Final Four coverage, go to cbs.sportsline.com. 2 shots for
Jim,
Williams.
You talk about field goal shooting percentages. In the 3 games prior to this one, Duke has been outshot by Maryland 49% to 38%. But again, we get back to Duke finding some way to win a game.
That one ties it.
Crowd very silent right here. Not really believing the way they found Duke so far behind early in this ball game. And maybe still a little shocked from how well Arizona played in the first game.
On the line, Maryland ball. You can look at that clock, and we have essentially a 5-minute overtime here to decide who will play Arizona Monday night.
They've done that before as well. First game at Maryland.
And that was when Duke made the 10-point comeback with 54 seconds to play when this man with the ball fouled out and Williams took over with an 8-point stretch in 14 seconds. And Morris getting some very good play here.
He really
since
is,
coming back.
and he's got 4 fouls on him, Jim, and doing these plays, making some great offensive low-post moves. Sanders trying to come over to help out Badier. Good job by Morris.
Third on Badier, a senior, and a senior goes to the line. Just 2 years ago as a sophomore. This man, Morris, was just the 4th Maryland player to make All-ACC as a sophomore, joining Tom McMillan, John Lucas, Joe Smith. So many of the old Terrapins have come back to the Final Four here for a reunion since the program's never experienced it before. Well, players like McMillan.
Well, Jim, you've got to remember that back in the days that they played, only one team from a given conference could go into the NCAA tournament. And the incredible game that's still remembered as the best ever played in that league, the 103-100 overtime loss to NC State in 1974, where Maryland was probably, at the worst, the 3rd best team in the country. They could never get over the hump against the NC State, David Thompson, Tommy Burleson club, so they never got into the NCAA tournament.
Guys who never got to this point, and a push off on Baxter, who are living this experience vicariously today. Names like Mo Howard and Jim O'Brien and Owen Brown.
How about Lefty Driesell?
Lefty Driesell, Lenny Elmore.
You know, that game actually changed the concept of the NCAA tournament, because after that time, they decided to say it's not fair for only one team to go from a given conference. And so what we see right now are the multiple teams, and surprisingly, Jim, in this tournament, ACC, Big Ten, and Pac-10, the three top conferences winning percentage in the NCAA tournament, all here on this floor today.
Baxter with his fourth heads to the bench, holding out also. Martisic is in.
And here's why I thought that it would have been smart to go to Baxter down and low against Duke. Boozer with 4 fouls. You want him out of the game if you're Maryland, because he is the low post offensive threat for Duke.
Boozer hits 2, and Duke leads by 1.
They keep going to Morris.
And he has it stripped away by the freshman. Duhan.
Looking for Williams. Williams now has a situation where Miller's on him, and he knows Miller can't handle him, so he gets a clear out.
He just keeps driving. This time kicks it out. Up pass, Duhan able to field it, please.
Still has Miller.
Challenges with a 3. That's tapped in, but it's Nate James. That's the one that's identical to the ACC game against Maryland.
I'm really surprised that time that Duke got by with one there, because Williams normally would drive on Miller, and Gary Williams saying that ball was in the cylinder, no call.
He wanted basket interference. Did he have a right to argue? No, it's outside.
Good touch.
Both teams in the double bonus, 2 free throws the rest of the way. Maryland ball down 3.
Down 3, don't look for 3. Go to Baxter inside against Boozer. Baxter not looking for the ball inside. He's got to make himself available.
Look out. Duhan, what a collision.
Oh!
Wow. And their bodies are still tangled.
Duhan just wants to lay there for a while. Let's see, and Blake is asking him to get his body off him. Boy, both of these guys down. And
wow, that reminded me of Naharat and Cleaves.
That one was jaw to jaw. This one was up in the air, and you don't have any protection on the way down. Mike Krzyzewski right over.
And Blake has walked it off. Duhan still dazed.
It looks like he's talking, though, to the trainer. We'll see it right here.
Back
it was
of his head.
Snapping of the head is what got him. Well, he got elbow, then he got the head. He got a little bit of both. He really got hit twice here and then snapped it again. And looks like he is talking to the trainer, however. It's aggressive play. 2 guys going for the ball. Blake hurt his leg, and
Krzyzewski out there helping him to his feet.
And what Mike is wanting the referee to do is make sure that they get that floor washed rubbed down, because all the water coming off those jerseys. Taking plenty of time here. The ACC's Rookie of the Year. Jim, how can you believe this one?
Yeah,
he is the first Rookie of the Year ever to play for Mike Krzyzewski in the ACC. I mean, you'd say with all of the great players, how is that possible? But he is the
maybe
first
it says
one.
something about the system, too.
That is
That's
true.
what it says.
That is true. You know, we'll see the play right here. See Mike Krzyzewski out there on the floor, by the way, Jim. You know, this is only the second time, and it happened both here on this particular floor. The second time in NCAA history that 3 of the teams were coached by a guy that already won a national championship. Happened in '92, and then again.
Back in '92, you had Bob Knight, and you had Krzyzewski, you had Steve Fisher. And Cincinnati with Huggins was the 4th team. Let's go over to Armin Katayan.
Thanks, Jim. The trainer from Maryland was just taking a long, hard look at Blake's right ankle. It's still tender, and he's tested it out. and I'll let you know as soon as we see whether he's going to go back in. Back to you.
This is really a struggle for Duhan.
Yes, it is. He's going to have to be carried off this floor. A little different than what we saw Gilbert Arenas in that first game today, who looked like he was, and they're going to take Duhan to the locker room. So we probably will not be seeing him anymore today. We sure hope he's okay. He's played an outstanding game certainly from an energy standpoint today.
Again, double bonus, so Nicholas gets another one. And Duhan's mother,
Vivian,
is going to the locker room.
She has moved from Louisiana to Durham, North Carolina to be with her son.
Brings it back down to 1. 3:35 to go. Duke 80, Maryland 79.
After that nasty collision with Steve Blake, Duke's Chris Duhan has left the court. The trainers haven't actually taken him to the locker room. He's just off the court inside the tunnel. They're doing concussion tests on him. And Duhan's mother, Vivian Harper, ran out of the stands, and she's there with him right now too, Jim.
Just as we speak, he just came back, sat down on the bench, and Badier with Nicholas on his back.
Nate James not blocked out, kept that ball alive for Badier inside.
Duhan was backstage for just a moment and then returned right in that report. And certainly far more alert than he was 3 or 4 minutes ago.
Jim, we mentioned this last week about Badier. In your lifetime as an ACC player, if you play in all the regular season games and your team is lucky enough to go to the ACC championship in the tournament, you can play in 76 games. That's what Badier did in his career. He won in 69 of them. Unbelievable.
Especially when you factor in how hard it is to win on the road in that conference.
Oh, absolutely. And how hard it is to be in the ACC championship for 4 years.
25 for Badier in this game, upping the lead to 3 again.
Taking a long time to get the ball in the low post.
Stolen away by Dunleavy. They were trying to get it to back.
Yeah, but taking too much time to get it there because look at what it's done.
Boozer.
By not going to Baxter, they're allowing Duke to keep Boozer on the floor with 4 fouls and being very effective in the low post.
Timeout, Maryland. Duke has now attained its largest lead of the game.
Remarkable scene here after Chris Duhan could barely walk off the court after that collision with Steve Blake. The trainers just made him run as fast as he could up and down the stairs. There's a good chance he'll be going back in. We'll keep you posted, Jim.
Wow, can you imagine that?
I don't think he'd be going back in if they keep the lead right here with 2:58 to go. Vivian Harper back in her seat.
Feeling a whole lot better too.
Don't we all? It's great to see Blake back out on the floor as well. And now Maryland says we're going inside. And
that's going to be for Boozer.
This was a good move by Maryland, but it came very late. What do they call
They're going the other way. It's going against Baxter, who can't believe it. He falls to the floor in disbelief. That's it for Baxter.
He was posting up inside. Can you
Instead of Boozer fouling out, it'll be Baxter.
Let's see the play. Wow, that's either a no call. I just couldn't see it. I thought these officials really recovered, Jim, as did Duke in the second half from a very poor first half. And they were doing a good job in this second half, but that is a huge call.
He has fouled out. He, again, used the word desperate to get to the Final Four after their win against Stanford. Wanting to get their coach there for the first time, their school there for the first time, and devastation was the look he had when he found out it was going the other way. He fell to his knees.
Well, I will say this, you'll see Baxter running out of there right now. He's really had a great NCAA tournament, set a new record for Maryland in regard to scoring. But I really thought that Maryland went about 3 minutes too long, Jim, to not go to him down low.
Oh, Boozer.
Because it allowed this man to stay in the game, and he's been the real force for Duke the last 5 minutes. Look at those 4 fouls. They've been 4 fouls for a long time.
Hitting his free throws until that one pops out.
Thinking Dixon now if you're Maryland.
This is going against Williams.
And if you're Duke University, you do not want any fouls here because you want this clock to be moving.
Round 4 after Duke's big comeback the first time, winning it at overtime. Maryland winning at Cameron, the ACC tournament, a tap with a second to go. The rematch tonight. It certainly has been everything everybody had hoped it would be, and Blake will have to try to calm things here for the second attempt. The biggest comeback, halftime deficit-wise, in a national semifinal was Memphis over Providence in '73, down 9 at the half. Duke was 11 behind, and this one could set the new record.
And that was a Providence team that knocked Maryland out of a chance to come into a Final Four early.
One of the 2 times Lefty had Maryland in the Elite Eight. '75 was the other year when Louisville ended their Final Four hopes of going there. Yep. Swinging it around. 2:20 to play.
Jason Williams again. He's got Miller on him. I think he can take Miller. There he goes.
Gives it up. Boozer. What a half he's had.
There is no defense out there if they're going to put Miller on Jason Williams. He'll go by him time and time again.
And the largest lead of the game for Duke is raised to 7.
They can't find Dixon. James is on Dixon. He just won't let him have the ball.
Holden in the right spot. Morris kept it alive along with Dixon.
Something else Mike Krzyzewski's finding out tonight, Boozer can play a lot of minutes. It looks like he is almost back to full shape after sitting down because of that foot injury.
His 3rd game back. He went 22 minutes in each of the regional games in Philadelphia.
But only had 1 field goal.
And no offense there. That's not the story for Boozer tonight.
Now we got Blake back on Williams. Much better matchup, but he goes by him as well.
Williams!
There's that strength again when he goes inside.
Blake with a 3.
That's not his shot. Hey, Nate James had a solid game as a 5th-year senior. Kind of like Edgerson in that first game. Not spectacular, but doing a very good job.
A minute to play with possession and up 7.
Well, almost complete for Badier is getting a little closer. He's going to have that 1-game chance.
Well, 50 seconds to go. Duke came back from 10 down at Maryland. Terrapins, can they somehow turn it around? Will send Badier or Boozer to the line for 2. Boozer again, no offense the first 2 games of this NCAA tournament, but tonight he's got 17, including 7 of 8 from the field.
Well, again, Jim, when Gary Williams goes back to look at this film, he'll say, why did we not attack Boozer defensively when we had the 4 fouls on him? He's played a long time with 4 fouls.
And guess who's coming back in? Duhan.
Jim, you know, when you start talking about Boozer, in the NCAA tournament, he did not play in the ACC tournament any one of the 3. He did not play against Monmouth. He did not play against Missouri. Then he only took 2 shots against UCLA, 2 shots against Southern California, and today he explodes as the inside force that Duke had earlier.
19 for the night. And Duhan comes in for the shooter. Boozer, before he shot that second free throw, knowing he was going to be replaced, looked at his teammates and with his hands indicated talk on defense. 9-point game, 40 seconds.
Only thing here, if you're Duke, you don't want to foul.
Dixon, front of the rim, tipped up. Holden a second time. Nicholas. Another close range chance. Holden.
Well, you can hear the Duke players saying no foul, no foul. But look at how much time Maryland used just to get that ball in the basket.
25 seconds to go. Duke trying to finish off Maryland. Duke trying to set the standard for the greatest comeback in national semifinal history. 22 down in the first half. It would not be the greatest comeback in school history. They one time were down 32 in a game.
To
Tulane.
That's
29 at the half back in 1950 to win the game.
That was the all-time NCAA record
All-time
in terms
anywhere.
of comeback, right?
32 down in the first half, 29 at the half.
That was the days of Dick Grote.
And then, of course, there was the Duke-Carolina comeback game.
The other way
Walter
around.
Davis, when there wasn't even a 3. And it went against him that time.
8 down with 17 seconds in that one.
Now,
Jim,
22 seconds here. Williams with 2 free throws. And, Maryland hoping with that 3-point line, if Williams, could go like he did with that streak earlier in the year, but not there.
Jim, we got to think ahead to Monday night. Arizona Duke, 1988. They were in the Final Four, but never against each other. 1994 in the Final Four, but not against each other. And here, Lute Olson will be playing against Duke.
This one's over?
Yeah, it's over.
Well, it is now. Morris gives chase. Williams lays it in.
How often we've seen him use that rim to prevent the defender from being able to get to him.
He came alive the second half, and he steals it again. Back to back to close it out. Duke with a 33-point turnaround after being down 22.
And Mike Krzyzewski goes, wow! He and Gary Williams, good buddies. Gary worked so hard to get here and thought he had Duke on the ropes in that first half, which he did.
Duke in Maryland in round 4 goes to the Devils, who lost on senior night by 11. And this time they put an 11-point curtain.
This is not
on Maryland.
That was on Coach K's court. This one's a little different.
What a championship matchup we have. There wasn't a bad possible combo coming in anyway, but it's Duke and Arizona with an abundance of storylines.